Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. So, something happened this weekend that I've never seen before. I've never seen the military go after civilian journalists. I've never seen them go after a president's political opposition like they had so aggressively over the past weekend. You had senior leadership from multiple branches of the armed forces basically attacking any political opponent of Joe Biden, and it's disgraceful. You're supposed to be apolitical when you're in the military because guess what? At a moment's notice, you could be working for either party, so the military has to be inherently apolitical. So let's get started. From Kurt Schleichter, when did using government resources to have uniformed personnel attack a journalist for giving a political opinion become okay? Relieve this guy, relieve his commander, and make it clear that this will not be tolerated. Let's see what he had to say.
TV. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I call it. I'll apologize up front and tell you that I don't have cable news at home. I don't have it here in the office, and I don't watch a lot of drama TV. I understand some comments were made yesterday, and I watched the clip that Mr. Carlson produced as he referred to pregnant women in the military. I'll remind everyone that his opinion, which he has a right to, is based off of actually 0 days of service in the Army.
So I will say this, he's calling out Tucker Carlson by name. He didn't say from Fox News or just say from TV last night. I understand there's controversial opinions that have been put out last night. He called out Tucker Carlson by name. And there's a big difference when you're calling out your president's, your commander-in-chief's political opposition by name. That is a threat when it's coming from your senior military personnel. Let's continue.
Forces. Let me offer you my opinion. My opinion is based off of 28 years of actual service in the military, 28 years in the Marine Corps, in combat operations out at sea and in garrison. And so he was talking specifically about pregnant women in the armed forces today and how it makes us less lethal and less fit and less ready. Let me tell you where he's wrong. Those decisions were made by medical professionals, by commanders, and our civilian leadership that allows for women to have more time with their children, to recuperate, to get fit and ready, to take that time that's necessary that our medical professionals know is needed, which actually makes us a more lethal and ready and fit force, ready to fight the wars of today and the wars of tomorrow. The bottom line is that we value women in our armed forces. We value those that have served in the past, and we value those that have served today. We value our families in the military. I want to say God bless everyone that is serving today. God bless the women that are serving today. God bless the men and women that are serving today. God bless our country, our partners, and our allies. Let's get back to work. Let's remember that those opinions were made by an individual who has never served a day in his life. Let's remember that's all about drama TV. God bless America. Semper Fidelis.
So why does it matter if you've served or not? Especially Tucker Carlson's question was, does our priority need to be maternity flight suits? Does that need to be our priority? And the question I ask is, how many G-forces can a pregnant woman sustain? Because that seems to be like a pretty good question. Like if you're going to be wearing a flight suit, I assume you're going to be flying. How many G's can a pregnant body withstand, right? Without compromising the child. So it stands to reason going basically saying what is our priority here? Is our priorities, is it China, or is our priorities being woke? Is our priorities being progressive or ultra feminist? And by just asking that question doesn't mean Tucker Carlson isn't anti or is anti-feminist. It's basically asking, hey, are we putting our eggs in the right basket at the moment? Because we seem to have bigger problems right now, because it certainly seems like China has a bigger navy than we do at the moment. Maybe we should focus on, I don't know, our war fighting capabilities, because we're not going to have pregnant women on the front lines fighting the war. So if you misunderstood what he said, then you're an idiot and you have no place leading troops there, Gunnery Sergeant. Let's jump over to Omri Sarin. Pentagon comms, you guys, I just don't know. Biden administration refuses to say Middle East militias are Iran backed, right? So remember that. And then from U.S. Department of Defense press secretary smites Fox host that dissed diversity in the U.S. military. I'm sorry, the only thing that the U.S. military should be smiting at the moment, especially with Joe Biden as the commander in chief, are children in Syria, because that seems to be the only thing he's good for at the moment. So I don't really understand how this is okay. So people basically have been saying, well, guys, it's sorry about the background noise. I'm having some work done to the house. But some people are saying, oh, well, guys, it's just individuals. They don't know what they're talking about. They'll get punished, and we'll carry on. It's not a big deal. No, this is the official U.S. Department of Defense page, their news page, and their headline is a press secretary smite a Fox host. That is disturbing. That should not be the case. The Pentagon should not be smiting U.S. civilians. It shouldn't be happening, guys. This is the United States of America. This is not Myanmar or whatever country is currently under military occupation. This isn't Myanmar. This isn't China. This isn't North Korea. The U.S. government that should not be smiting its citizens, its journalists, its news organizations. Should not be happening. Not in the United States of America. Next story. He's got the Pentagon's number for sure. Tucker Carlson, if the woke generals treat us like this, if the woke generals treat us like they've treated the Taliban, we'll be just fine. Let's see Tucker's response to all the blowback he had received.
Well, it was quite an experience yesterday being the very first target in the Pentagon's new Operation Silence the Talk Show hosts. Friends called us in concern. Are you guys all right? And for a minute, we'll concede we were almost rattled. Then we realized if the woke generals treat us like they've treated the Taliban, we'll be fine. 20 years later, the Taliban are still here. Maybe we ought to promise the Pentagon that we'll get rid of traditional gender roles on this show, change the pronouns, defeat the patriarchy, and all that. Then they'd send us billions in unmarked $100 bills as a reward. They've certainly done that before. And that might really kickstart our struggling opium poppy business. Something to think about. Anyway, we're fine. So thank you for the concern. Well, it was quite an experience yesterday.
So talk about somebody who basically what he was saying, he was like, hey, look, they rattled our cage. And then we came to realize that, hey, look, these guys are so ineffective because they're more concerned about being woke than they are actually fighting a war, that it's been 19 years and they still can't defeat people in a freaking desert, basically living in mud huts with AK-47s, and they don't wear pants. So what are we to be concerned about? So guess what? If we say we're going to adopt radical feminist policies, perhaps they'll give us billions of dollars in unmarked $100 bills. And he also has a point there, because guess what? And I'll cover this. I think it's actually going to be here in a couple minutes, but the U.S. has been lying about its troop levels in Afghanistan the entire time. I think it's the same scam that they were pulling in Syria, where essentially they were lying to Donald Trump the entire time about the troop level, saying, oh yeah, Mr. President, you only have your 200 troops there, when they actually had 2 or 3 times that many troops in country. Let's jump over to Arthur Schwartz. This genius's outdated Tinder photos are going to end up on SecDef's desk, flagged for him by a U.S. senator. How humiliating and well-deserved. From the same master gunnery sergeant, or whatever effing rank that guy has. Semper Fi, gunnery sergeant. Like you, I maintain our service standards. I'm also an amateur powerlifter, so I do fall about 10 pounds short of my max. I appreciate your concern and continued love for our Corps. Here are a few recent pictures that present a better camera angle. I want to know who took these. I want to know what lower enlisted person he had to force to take pictures of him, because I'm sorry. This is sort of questionable. I don't want to get in trouble by making accusations or anything, but it's definitely a... if I was still in, I'd be able to make jokes, but I can't make those jokes right now without... If I had somebody to bounce the ideas off of, but me talking to myself all Unabomber style, I can't really say things like that by myself, guys. I'm sorry. So there's him all jacked, and oh look, he's leg pressing half a Volkswagen Golf from Germany, and then oh man, he's hiking, giving the hang loose sign. Yeah, dude, you're so cool. Oh yeah, more leg extensions. Yeah, dude, legs for days. That's all he does, bro. Don't skip leg day. Oh my goodness. And Jack Posobiec, this is your military. And it's a bunch of ROTC troops wearing high heels walking a mile in her shoes. This happened in the army. This is what the army is turning into. Just a bunch of men wearing high heels walking a mile in her shoes. They don't care about winning wars anymore. They care about winning the woke war. They care about being more woke, because more woke means more better, because it means you feel better on the inside because you're just more tolerant, guys. And being more tolerant is being a better person, right? It doesn't matter that thousands of troops have died and will die overseas because of the lack of preparation, preparing for war, or people that have been maimed overseas and they're not getting the treatment they deserve because of these woke policies. They'd rather send the money toward these woke programs as opposed to saying, hey, let's decriminalize psychedelics so troops could, instead of using Xanax and basically starting a shotgun inside their house because they can't basically get over the hump of depression, can't get that monkey off their back. It turns out that a lot of these psychedelics really help a lot of veterans with PTSD, and all these politicians aren't doing their job. And instead, they're throwing soldiers in high heels and forcing them to walk a mile in her shoes. Talk about failed priorities. So, the New York Times. The United States has about 1,000 more troops in Afghanistan than it has disclosed, according to US, European, and Afghan officials. So, like I said, I think they lied to Trump like they lied to him about Syria. And what stuck out to me most in this paragraph was this: in addition to the 3,500 Americans, there are roughly 7,000 NATO and allied troops still in Afghanistan who depend on U.S. forces for logistics and force protection. If the United States did indeed try to leave by May 1st, it would be almost impossible logistically to withdraw both the American and the allied forces in time. Experts have said, though U.S. officials insist it remains an option. Despite the shrinking timeline, Mr. Biden has yet to decide whether the U.S. troops will stay beyond the proposed date, and if so, how many, or leave, ending America's longest war after more than 19 years. So this is important, guys. So the U.S. is supposed to leave by May 1st. We have basically a contract with the Taliban, and if we don't leave, they're going to end up bombing the crap out of us on those bases. And guess what's going to happen? We're going to have to double, triple, quadruple, quintuple our troop presence in country because it's going to get real nasty, real fast, because they are going to drop bombs, because they don't like it when white people basically renege on their deals, or basically they like to chop off people's heads when they break contracts. That's what the Taliban does. That's how they remain in power. That's why they are so feared. You break your deal with the Taliban, they will kill you and they will kill your entire family. That's exactly what they do. And due to, I guess, oil and all these military industrial complex contracts, especially like these sweetheart deals that Raytheon has been receiving due to Lloyd Austin and Joe Biden. Why would they want that gravy train with biscuit wheels to run dry, right? Why would they want that to happen? So guess what? We're probably going to stay in Afghanistan, and it's Joe Biden's fault. So we can continue to bomb more brown kids, and more 18-year-old Americans can go and lose their legs, can go and lose an arm, can go and die, can go and get PTSD, can go and suffer any sort of combat related or non-combat related disability from being in country for such a long period of time. There are thousands and thousands of troops that are having really strange effects from all the burn pits in country, and we're not going to know the long-term effects for that for another probably 20 years or so. But it's going to be too late, and they're extending these wars for no reason. If there's no basically measurement as to what success is, then there's no reason for us to be there. And before I get to the last story, guys, why don't you go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please go to notcensoredyet.com and have a look around. And finally, from Jack Basayevic, the current DoD is more likely to sponsor an on-base drag queen story hour than disrupt terrorist plots or intercept threats to the homeland. I guess this high heel walking mile in her shoes should have been placed after that, but I'm not the best with producing my own show because this is a one-man operation, guys, so I'm doing the best I can. But at this point in time, as of March 15th, 2021, I would definitely say that this is the case because the DoD is going woke or broke, and they don't care about having a hyper masculine military being used as a hammer to destroy other countries. Because guess what? You have your scalpel units, you have your your special operations forces who are like a scalpel. They're small, they're precise, and then you have your rest of your military, which is like a freaking sledgehammer that's there to just destroy things, right? So people are forgetting that the military isn't here to make you feel good about yourself. The military is there to destroy the enemy in close combat, right? It's designed to seek out the enemy and destroy the enemy. It's not there to make the enemy feel inclusive. It's not there to make even your soldiers to your left and right feel inclusive. They feel inclusive because everybody in the uniform is wearing the same uniform. When I look to my left and right, I don't see a black person, I don't see another Hispanic person or a white person. I don't see that. I see somebody wearing my uniform. I see a friendly, and that's all that matters. If you're a piece of garbage, you're a piece of garbage, and we'll do what we can to get you out of the unit. If you're not pulling your weight, you're not pulling your weight. If you're a drug addict, you're getting out of there. If you're an alcoholic, you're getting out of there. If you're whatever, right? If you're a fat piece of crap, you're getting out of there. So that's what we're supposed to do. But guess what? This woke ideology, you already see them. They're changing the standards of the new personal fitness test because they figured out, guys. They figured it out that 60% of women can't pass the new physical fitness test when only 10% of men can't pass that physical fitness test. And I'm willing to bet that 10% of men who can't pass it is the same 10% of men who couldn't pass the previous fitness test either. So I will say this. What is this push, this radical push in the Department of Defense when they are now acknowledging that there is a physical difference between men and women? And they're saying, oh, now we have to reassess the standards and maybe make the male standards harder and the female standards easier. No, if we're all the same, bro, because guess what? If my vehicle rolls over and it's me and two female soldiers, or just me and one female soldier that survived, and that's it, and I'm pinned and she has to pull me out and she can't pull me out, then I'm probably going to die in that vehicle because she couldn't pull me out. And people don't acknowledge that in combat, in theater, even in training. There's times where you have to ask a lot from a female soldier, and if they're not physically able to do that task, then they have no business being on the front lines, because in that situation, they're going to be more of a liability than an asset. So, not saying that there shouldn't be any women, but I believe that they should be held to the same standard. So maybe there should be two personal fitness tests, right? So one for front lines or those to qualify to be on the front lines, and then one for like support, right? So for those who would never see frontline action, for those who would basically be just in support roles. So you still need to be fit to be in the military. You still have to be able to move under fire. You still need to be able to shoot and what have you, but you won't have to perform as physical of tasks because you won't be kicking in doors every day. Your vehicle won't be basically getting blown up, as you won't be running the risk of having your vehicle blown up as often, because you won't be traveling by vehicle as often. So perhaps multiple fitness tests, one for combat operations. And I believe this was the case back in the 80s or 70s. I think it was the 80s. I was reading the book, Inside Delta Force or something. It was from Eric L. Haney, right? He was talking about the the adoption or the creation of Delta Force, and he was basically saying that there was multiple PT tests, one for special operations, one for your normal combat infantry, and the rest for your support troops. And then his standards, of course, they were doing basically the special operations PT test at the time. So I think maybe if you were going to have a single PT test and then just have multiple tiers, and then basically if you pass or fail, it's going to be determined by your operational role. If you're a combat support, then you're going to take the support PT test and then you pass or fail that. And then if you're infantry, then you take the infantry PT test. Basically, just harder standards because you basically have to be in better shape. You deal with more physical tasks being in direct combat as opposed to combat support. So that's going to be it for now, friends. I'll see y'all later today. Have a good one. Bye.